Hi, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're gonna be talking about the Dynastar MPro 90. Now, this ski was heavily requested by my viewers. I was not paid by anyone to review this ski. I paid my own money to get this from the demo shop. So I'm gonna give you my completely honest opinion. As always, Dynastar does not send me skis. They don't reply to my emails, but I'm still out here reviewing their skis. Now, I skied these in a 186, which means that they have a 21 meter radius. You can see from the build, very aggressive camber. You've got a tiny amount of tail splay, but then the most aggressive I've probably seen in a long time. Tip splay. Look at this. 186 almost felt a little bit short for me because there is such an early rise in this tip. Pretty amazing. These skis feel extremely heavy. They've got Dynastar's, what do they call it? Rocket TI. I'll get it close to the camera so you can see. It's kind of hard to see with the black. But this is like a big hunk of Titanal that gives it stability underfoot. These skis weigh 1,850 grams per ski, but boy, do they feel heavier. I don't know if it's just the build, maybe they're just kind of awkward to hold because of that aggressive tip splay, but these are beefy boys. These are heavy skis. They also, for their core, have that Titanal, but they have a polyurethane PU layer, as well as your standard wood core. The polyurethane is supposed to create less chatter and more dampness when the skis are on edge, but I did not find that to be true. I actually found the opposite. I found these to be surprisingly chattery when they were on edge, but we'll talk about that later. I just want to tell you that that construction and the way they advertise it, I found to be pretty baloney. They didn't do a good job. Maybe they were worse before the polyurethane, hard to tell, but compared to other skis, they were very chattery when on edge. These skis retail for just under $700, but right now you can buy them for $559.96 on sale. The value, I think, is pretty moderate. It's a normal price ski. On sale, it's pretty aggressive, but you can find, you know, more competitive prices maybe later in the year. But I'd say the overall value is, I don't know, moderate. But that's enough about specs and price. Let's talk about how they felt. My first impression was honestly that they feel pretty smooth for longer radius turns. There's not a lot to write home about when it comes to carving. I wasn't super blown away with just my initial impressions. They felt okay. But first impressions in the powder, on the other hand, were really good. It made me think, oh, I'm in the wrong width in 90 millimeters. This feels like it's got the makings of a pretty good powder ski. So yeah, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. You can really sit on the back of the tails in the powder, and they were fairly fun. So let's talk about the good, and then we'll talk about the bad. The good honestly revolves primarily around the trees and the powder. The flotation felt pretty good. The way that you can kind of sit on that tail and float and kind of surf out your turns felt good. Not quite as good as a QST, but surprisingly good compared to the carving. Honestly, I was very surprised by the performance in the powder, given that this is a 90 millimeter width underfoot. I think because it has such an aggressive splay in the tips, it really kind of lets you sit in the back and float around. And the turning radius in the trees, it was surprising. It didn't feel like 21 meters when you were off trail. The other interesting thing with this aggressive tip splay is you almost had to time your carving a little bit different. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it's something. I will say these skis were also firm underfoot. It wasn't like they were gonna give out or they were noodly or anything like that. These are very stiff skis and they felt fairly stable. That's all I can really say in the good. A lot of the good really kind of gravitates around their off-trail performance. But now that we talked about the good, let's talk about the bad. There's a lot of downsides of the ski, so let's talk about it. One issue with this really large rocker in the front is that when it comes to carving, there's not a lot of edge to work with. And because there's not a lot of edge to work with, even in a 186, you're really limited in your turn shape and how you time your turns out. There's less of like, I can load the front and then kick to the back. I will say the ski also feels pretty stale while you're carving. It's very heavy without being very damp, and it just has very limited carving capabilities. Honestly, I've skied some older Rossignol B3 Bandits and some older Dynastar race skis, and this ski felt very long in the tooth. I'm not sure exactly how long this generation of skis been around, but it felt a bit like a dinosaur. I would say also when you're carving, this ski almost felt a little bit deaf. Like it's heavy and stable, but you can't really feel your pressure underfoot. You can't really feel the nuance of carving. So if that's something that's important to you, this may not be the best ski for you. The other thing that I noticed that they're supposed to be helping with their construction, when they get on edge, they are not damp. Like they felt chattery on edge, which is really uncomfortable. When you're carving smooth stuff, especially in the West Coast, you shouldn't be getting that. And I gotta imagine on the East Coast when you're carving that these would feel even worse underfoot. It's kind of a hard thing to describe. You don't tend to get a lot of chatter when you have the ski engaged like that, but here we are. The other thing that I saw was that you almost skip like the first 1/8 of your turn. I'm not sure the exact number, but because this ski is so splayed, it's like already kind of initiating, so you don't get to control your ski with that flex. I talked a little bit about it earlier, but it's really pronounced. Like, I want to start my turn, I'm going to start preloading the pressure, and it's like, oh, well, there's no need because this ski's already kind of it's already kind of assuming that position before you even start. Some people may like that. It made me feel a little uneasy as someone who likes to preload their turns. So now that we've talked about the good and we've talked about the bad, let's talk score. And as you probably guessed from a lot of the things I've said, I just was not that impressed with these skis, honestly. They're deaf in the feet, the turns feel sluggish, you can't really alter your turn shape that much when you're carving because of this big splay. I think there's something cool here with this early rise and rocker. Like you really can get away with a lot of fun stuff off trail, but the downsides versus the upsides kind of tip this ski into something I wouldn't recommend. And to be honest, this ski, I don't know a ton of history with the Dynastar MPro, but I will say that this ski feels very old. It feels very long in the tooth design-wise. It basically feels like something if you took a ski from the late 2010s and only changed the rocker aspect of it and nothing else, you know, really didn't develop the ski in more than one meaningful way. That's what this feels like. Again, I don't know what goes on at the production of Dynastar, but that's my impression, that this feels very long in the tooth. This feels like a ski I would have skied on a decade ago. Again, that's just my opinion, but you know, that's my opinion as someone who is not paid by Dynastar, is not sent the skis, that spent my own money to review these skis, and I'm telling you point blank, as honestly as I can, I did not have a lot of fun on these skis. I had some fun off trail in the powder, but it's pretty hard to have a bad time there. Maybe the ski makes more sense in a wider version, but for me, I just did not have a good time on these. So overall, for me, I think it's got some fundamentals that are okay, but all in all, I felt like there wasn't much to write home about when it came to the ski. So for me, I'm giving this ski a 6.6 out of 10. I think it has some cool ideas with the powder and the kind of, you know, sitting on the back of the ski comfortably, but beyond that, it's a little bit of a one-trick pony. So I know a lot of people request this, and I'm sure they're not going to be happy with me, but that's just my honest opinion as someone who demoed the skis, took them out, and is just telling you my honest opinion as a person. You know, I don't know, good and bad, I'm going to give you my honest opinion. So anyway, I will put a link below if you are dead set on buying these and you found this review at least helpful in your purchase. Please consider using that. It supports the channel directly. You can also just use the link, and if you buy something else, that also supports me either way. But really, I just care about telling you the truth. I'm not here to sell you skis, and I've never felt that way. And if I was, I probably wouldn't be giving things a 6.6 out of 10. But I'm here to be honest, not to make sales for these companies. So if you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. That's a free way you can support the channel. We also have memberships, which help support the channel financially. It gives you little perks like you can see the videos early, and you get perks like I'll help give you ski recommendations, sizing information. I'll even give you some ski coaching at the top tier. But more than anything, just thanks for being here. Thanks for watching these videos. It's because of you guys that I can go and demo these skis, and that is never lost on me. So thank you for being here. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.